Everyone knows Jada Pinkett Smith. Even people who don't follow Hollywood have heard her name at some point, whether through movies, interviews, viral moments, or the countless discussions surrounding her personal life. Jada has become one of the most talked about women in the entertainment industry. But there's one detail that very few people truly realize. Her story goes far beyond the headlines you see online. Because before the controversies, before the debates, and before the entire world started analyzing every word she said, Jada Pinkett Smith had already built a life and career that were anything but ordinary. And maybe that's exactly what makes everything even more fascinating. For many years, Jada was seen as someone extremely private when it came to her personal life. Despite being famous, she always carried herself as strong, intelligent, and emotionally resilient. While other celebrities constantly found themselves surrounded by scandals, she appeared more controlled and grounded in the public eye. But Hollywood has a dangerous side to it. The bigger the fame, the bigger the public curiosity becomes. And little by little, people started wanting to know who Jada Pinkett Smith really was behind cameras. When she began her relationship with Will Smith, public interest exploded even more. At the time, Will Smith was already one of the biggest stars in the world. Charismatic, funny, and incredibly successful, he represented the image of the perfect Hollywood superstar. And together, the two quickly became one of the most famous couples on the planet. They smiled together at award shows. They appeared in interviews side by side. They talked about family, success, and career. And to millions of people, they looked like the definition of a perfect relationship. But there's a famous saying in Hollywood: the most perfect appearances often hide the most complicated stories. And maybe that saying has never fit a couple more than them. As the years passed, rumors, speculation, and theories about their relationship began spreading online. The internet started analyzing old interviews. Comments began going viral. Small details were suddenly being examined obsessively by fans. And slowly, what once looked like the perfect marriage started being viewed in a completely different way. But the most surprising part of all is that many of the biggest revelations didn't come from the media. They came from the couple themselves. In interviews and public conversations, Jada and Will openly discussed relationship struggles, emotional challenges, and moments when things between them became extremely difficult. And that shocked the world. Because for the first time, one of Hollywood's most admired couples was showing that fame, money, and success don't automatically create a perfect relationship. But there's another important part of this story. While some people admire their honesty, others reacted very differently. And that's when Jada's name started becoming a constant target of criticism, memes, and heated debates across social media. Many people blamed her for much of the controversy surrounding the marriage. Others defended her, arguing that she was simply being honest about situations many couples secretly go through. And the more divided public opinion became, the bigger the conversation grew. The truth is, the internet transformed Jada Pinkett Smith into a global topic of discussion. Everything she says becomes a headline. Everything she does sparks reactions. And any interview can instantly become worldwide news. But perhaps the most interesting thing is this. Even after facing intense criticism, she never seemed willing to completely change who she was just to satisfy public opinion. That made some people see her as incredibly authentic, while others saw her as one of Hollywood's most controversial figures. And that division only grew stronger over time. Because the more interviews surfaced, the more people realized that her relationship with Will Smith was very different from the traditional Hollywood image. It wasn't a fairy tale. It wasn't a perfect movie romance. It was something far more complicated, human, and difficult to define. And maybe that's exactly what made so many people uncomfortable. The public is used to creating perfect images of celebrities. People like believing certain couples live flawless lives. But when that illusion starts to crack, the reaction can become intense. And that's exactly what happened. At several points, the internet seemed to turn every statement Jada made into a public trial. Videos spread across social media within hours. Interview clips were shared out of context. Millions of people discussed private moments as if they personally knew every detail of the relationship. And the more this happened, the more Jada became a symbol of modern debates about marriage, emotional freedom, and public exposure. But there's something very few people talk about. Behind all the controversy, there's enormous pressure. Imagine living with millions of people analyzing every word you say. Imagine opening up your personal life to the entire world and then watching the internet turn it into jokes, criticism, and endless debates. Very few people could handle that kind of pressure. And regardless of anyone's opinion, it's impossible to deny that Jada experienced all of it under the spotlight. At the same time, she also became one of the most influential women when it comes to open conversations about emotions, relationships, and personal experiences. She helped create discussions that rarely existed in Hollywood years ago, and that made many people connect deeply with the way she talks about difficult subjects. But in Hollywood, influence and controversy often go hand in hand. The more influence that someone has, the more criticism they attract. And Jada Pinkett Smith may be one of the clearest examples of that in modern pop culture. What's truly remarkable is that even after years of intense public exposure, she remains impossible to ignore. Her name is still relevant. Her interviews still go viral. Her statements still dominate conversations online. And very few celebrities manage to stay at the center of public attention for this long. Maybe because, deep down, people aren't only interested in her life, but in what she represents. She represents the collapse of the perfect celebrity image. She represents complicated relationships. She represents the human side behind fame. And maybe that's exactly why people remain so fascinated by her story. Because at the end of the day, Hollywood has always sold perfect dreams. But Jada Pinkett Smith ended up showing something completely different. That even the most famous people in the world struggle with conflict, uncertainty, and emotional challenges behind closed doors. And maybe that's the real reason her name never leaves the headlines. Not because people fully understand her story, but because nobody can stop trying to figure her out. Now I want to hear from you. Do you think Jada Pinkett Smith has been unfairly judged by the internet? Or do you believe the controversy came from her own public choices? Leave your opinion in the comments because it might appear in the next video. If you enjoy intense celebrity stories, Hollywood secrets, and shocking revelations the media doesn't fully explain, subscribe to the channel right now. Because here, every story goes far beyond the headlines.